we know where those things came from. But to go back full circle, we were talking about spirituality. What you said really, really hit me as far as that family.
Yeah.
And changing things and starting with you. And starting with you, and it can start with
recognizing
you. That
there is a generational issue that shows up in every generation, and that somebody gets to notice the loop because it's a pattern, and see how to stop it before it becomes a full circle pattern for the next generation of children in your family. And the only way you can do that is to pay attention and really stop being angry at your mother or your father or whatever for a second. You can be angry. I'm not telling you how to do it, but for a second, and just think clearly. Clearly this is not something that they introduced to themselves. It's something they learned. We are all creatures of habit for the most part. And if you look at your grandparents and you listen to the stories that was told about them, and you can kind of find the loop where and that if they had that same loop, then their parents probably had an even bigger loop. And so just recognizing that for my childhood, that loop had really spiraled out of control in a huge way, to the point where we were now second generation of kids being put in foster care. So that was really concerning for me. When I looked at that, I was like, hold up, my mom was in the first foster home in DC, and now I'm in foster care. If nobody does anything soon, we're going to have children, my siblings and I are going to have children that are in foster care. If you don't pay attention, it's only going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. It becomes a deeper well that hole that you're digging. And so I was like, okay, let me pay attention to this. Let me figure out what was the issue. And once I could go back and see, for my mom, this was the issue. For her mom, this was the issue. I don't not quite know I can guess at what my great-grandmother's issue was based on the stories, but because I never actually met her, I do not know. You know what I mean? So, just, really gathering the information and figuring out how to step into the gap to change the direction and the trajectory of your life. You know what I mean? Because it's your responsibility, and that is a huge spiritual practice.
Big time.
And I don't think we understand that healing is a spiritual practice. That taking on your healing in a certain kind of a way is a spiritual practice. And that being the person who recognizes the pattern is a huge deal. It's a huge deal, and you have to kind of be like a gatekeeper in a certain kind of way. You can't even let certain behavior be in your space when you are the pattern breaker. If addiction was the issue for the people in your family that allow them to be abusive and neglectful of the children in the family, then you can't have an addiction. And not only can you not have addiction, that means that nobody around you can have an addiction. It's poisonous to you and to your family. And if you don't get that, and you know what I mean, and it sucks. I'm gonna tell you right now, it sucks being the person who recognizes the gap, because I always have to be uber responsible. I always have to be thinking about the outcome of everything all the time. It's not fun. Not that I don't have a fun life, but I have to be so responsible that sometimes I don't get to be fun. I don't get to have fun. I don't get to be lighthearted. I don't get to just be like, oh, never mind, fuck it, we just let this slide. No, I cannot let this shit slide, because I let this slide, then I'll be letting something else slide, then I'll be letting something else slide, and then it'll be over, and we'll be right in the same situation that my mother found herself in, that my grandmother found herself in, that my grandmother found herself in. And because that's literally what probably happened to them. They let so much shit slide that they couldn't even keep up with what needed to go and what needed to stay. And that is the work right there. That's the crux of the work. And it is, I'm not gonna, a lot of people like, oh, you just You know, you just got to do this. No. You got to be a fucking vigilante for yours. You got to be willing to take out any and everybody who will disturb your peace.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it do make me boring.
You ain't boring.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not fun. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, you don't never want to have no fun. I hear that so much. You don't never want to have no fun. It's not that I don't want to have no fun. Your idea of fun is abusive, and it will fuck up my life.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not fun for me. And I can't participate in that type of behavior because I'm changing the trajectory of my children's lives. That's a big responsibility. I'm changing the trajectory, not just of my children, but of my children's children, and my children's children, and my children's children, and my children's children. 7 generations out from me will not know abuse, neglect, foster care, loss of body functions because their parents ripped something out of their body that they needed. All types of crazy shit. Addiction, alcohol addiction, drug abuse. Because I stood there and said no thank you to a drink one day because I know that addiction runs in my family.
Yeah.
I don't get to act like I don't know that. And the fact that people don't realize how serious it is when you decide to change your life because they are not ready to do that. You know what I mean? They're not there yet. And that's when I realized that's why I be in the fucking house all the time.
Yeah.
Only half